All right, everybody, welcome to this edition of the High School Football Preview. My name is Austen Gregerson. This is a very special edition of the High School Football Preview. As you can see, I am alone. We are without Danny Klein for a week. We're actually without Danny Klein forever, essentially. But we are without a sports editor for this current week. Next week, we'll be joined by Cody Urbacher, who will be the new sports editor. His first day will actually be Wednesday when we tape these, so we'll give him a chance to get right into the thick of things with high school football. But we'll worry about that next week. For now, we have week one of high school football, so let's get started with the first game on my little notepad right here, and it is Trinity Christian at St. Augustine. And this game's going to be interesting for a lot of reasons. One, because a lot of people are thinking that St. Augustine may be down this year. This might be a rebuilding year. A lot of youth on that team, but it's Joey Wiles, it's his defense, it's his coaching. You may not know the names right now, but sure enough, during the end of the season, you're going to know these players. So this is going to be an excellent test for the Yellow Jackets because Trinity Christian has a lot of D1 athletes. Not only their senior class this year, but going in, when you look at who their juniors are now, they have a lot of guys who have offers from Florida. 20 different FBS schools. And even last year when St. Augustine did have, all their talent, all the names, they still gave Trinity Christian more than they could handle, and it was a very close, very interesting game. So we'll see how the home field advantage helps out St. Augustine. We'll see how the system works, but I think it's going to be a very, very tough match for the Yellow Jackets, and really for a schedule that doesn't really have a lot of down periods as far as easy games, quote unquote. But it'll be interesting. So next game is Menendez at Middleburg, and one of my season predictions was that Menendez, I think, is going to have a little bit of a resurgence in the county, especially with wins and losses, just because they've been kind of floundering around and losing records and not a lot of optimism. But with a new coach, Patrick Turner, it seems like there's a lot of optimism around the program. It seems like there's a lot of positive mojo just going around because they've always had the athletes. You saw it last year with the guys like Steph Carter, Willie Harvey, Trevon Bryant, and you saw them in their preseason game against Matanzas, a 28-7 win, and they looked very impressive. You see some of that potential actually kind of come into fruition. So I think that's going to be the same thing as they travel to Middleburg. I don't think Middleburg's going to be much of a test for them, much of a hiccup. I think this is going to be a big confidence booster for Menendez, something that frankly they haven't really had in a long time. So we'll see how they can carry that momentum into the season if they can, actually capitalize on some of this momentum, frankly. Next game on the list is St. Joseph hosting Monroe Day. This is another situation very similar to Menendez, where you have a new head coach coming into a program that's been kind of stagnant and losing seasons and not a lot of optimism around the program. And the early signs seem to be good as far as how the Flashes program is progressing. You want to look at just the rosters alone. They have 35 guys scheduled to suit up for the team, according to Coach Matt Lesnovich, and you compare that to what they had last year, which was 14. That difference alone is going to make such a big improvement for them as far as wins and losses, because you're going to be able to rest guys, make guys go one way. You're going to be able to let your playmakers, your real athletes, kind of shine because they're not going to have to be burdened with all the work. So again, it's first season. It's not going to be make or break for any of these teams, but a lot of good vibes around St. Joseph. Next game on the list is actually the only county game we have of the week. It's Nice at Ponte Vedra. And this is interesting because you have two offenses that don't really quite have an identity yet. I don't expect this one to be terribly close for Ponte Vedra. I think they'll win comfortably, but I don't see them being a team that's going to blow out a lot of guys this season. I think they're going to have to win with a good rushing game and that strong defense anchored, of course, by Mr. Dylan Bates. But you also got Joe Carter there, his linebacking partner, and you're going to be able to see them kind of work on an offense that's still trying to figure itself out. Shane Carpenter, I believe that's the coach's name. He's doing a good job trying to kind of right the ship there and get them back to some of their winning ways, and we'll see how he works out against Ponte Vedra. It is a tough test for the Panthers because their defense for the Sharks is so tough. It's going to be on the road. It's going to be a good test to see where they're going to be, where they need to grow for the rest of the year. Second to last game on the list is Creekside at Sandalwood, and this is frankly a very tough game for the Knights. Creekside's biggest strength is probably going to be their offensive line, just because of the experience they do have. And when you lose your starting quarterback from last season, your starting running back from last season, it's going to be tough to kind of fill in those spots immediately. But the easiest way to do that is to have an offensive line who can create opportunities. and they're going to be tested against a Sandalwood team that, again, it's Duval School, but they have a lot of athletes. They have a lot of potential college players, which is going to present a challenge, and it's going to be interesting to see how the Nets respond to it early on. And you remember last season, Creekside got off to a pretty rough start, but they worked their way up eventually, slowly, back to a playoff spot. So we might be looking at a little bit of similar situation to that. We'll see if Creekside can right themselves after a tough game, but obviously, again, it's only week 1. And the last game of the week, we have Bartram Trail hosting Bishop Kenny, and this is going to be the quarterback battle of the week. I would say probably the game of the week, maybe fighting with that with St. Augustine and Trinity. But with Bartram Trail, obviously, I think they're going to be the most well-rounded team in the county. I like what they're bringing back on defense. I believe about 6 or 7 guys who at least started, maybe even had significant playing time last year. But it's going to be tough to go against a guy like John Walford, the Bishop Kenny quarterback, who's one of the best the state has ever seen. He has all the records. He's going to be, one of the touchdown leaders, if not all time, one of them. So seeing how he matches up against P.J. Blyszowski, who had an unbelievable season last year as far as scoring output, over 30 touchdowns, single-digit interceptions. We'll see how he takes that step from year 1 starter to year 2 starter. Usually that's where you see a lot of jump as far as maybe not mechanically, maybe not physically, but in terms of reading defenses, understanding the offense better. I was talking to Coach Daryl Sutherland a couple weeks ago, and he was saying that one of the ways Blyszowski has really stepped up has been in his ability to lead the offense out in the field and really kind of take control of what they're doing. And that's going to be big to basically keep up with the scoring that Bishop Kenny does, because Bishop Kenny is not going to be held to, a 17 points, 14 points. And I'm sure the Bears defense doesn't like to hear that, but the Bartram offense is going to have to outscore Bishop Kenny for them to get a win. And it's going to be another close game. I don't really see who's going to come out on top of this one, but that's the beauty of Friday nights. We all get to find out at the same time. So thank you for watching. Of course, if you want to follow all the action on Friday nights, you can follow me on Twitter at AV Gregerson. You can follow the Record Sports account at Record Sports, staugustine.com/sports. And if I don't see you on Friday night, I'll see you online.